There's been sort of a trend lately in the Rocket League community to talk about toxicity, and weirdly enough, the question is whether a little bit of toxicity is actually good in Rocket League. We've got, the classic Sunless Khan experiment video, and we have this Mertzy video which has like 1 million views. Jesus Christ. So I figured I'd put in my 2 cents with a bit of a spin on the topic, and hopefully I can get some views, you know what I'm saying? Today, I'm looking at how I chose to be the opposite of toxic, how I laid down sort of my inner desires, my rights, so to speak, and chose to prove to the Rocket League world that this game can truly be a gentleman's sport. Outside of the times I say thanks whenever my opponent gives up a goal, it's pretty funny, guys. This is probably worse than saying what a save. You could say what a save, which is like, hey, nice try, but thanks is like, wow, that was so bad. You must have been purposely letting me score. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Try it sometime. But this was a different day. At first, it felt like just a regular old day of Rocket League. I'd been grinding ones like I promised, and I'd been sitting comfortably in about Champ 2, kind of going back and forth between Div 2 and Div 3, which I'm really happy with in just a couple weeks of grinding. In a way, I'm close to my goal of getting Grand Champion 1s, but in another very real sense, I'm not even close at all. This started out as just another game of 1s. My opponent scored an early kickoff goal, putting me down by 1 with the entire game left, basically. I then scored a kickoff goal myself in response, making the game now tied 1-1, in case you were wondering what the score was after they scored a goal and then I scored a goal. But something was up here. My opponent kind of just went flying off to the side, and he informed me after that goal that he had disconnected on that kickoff. Now, it should be stated that this is part of the game, it happens sometimes, and there's nothing inherently wrong with taking a goal in that moment and just moving on. But I decided to be the bigger man. I decided to be a gentleman, and I made a conscious decision to play this game the way a gentleman would. And so I gave my opponent a goal so that he was once again 1 goal ahead of me with basically the entire game left. Now, I know it's, hotly debated whether or not Rocket League gods really exist. Some argue that, there's no way these eggs and cars could have just sprung out of nothing. Others look at this world and say that this is all just the outcome of natural car selection. Oh my god. But in that moment, when I decided to do the right thing, I thought in my mind, if there was something out there bigger than, just me and my octane, that it would reward me for my actions with some sort of blessing. Maybe I too would just be given a goal in return. But then I proceeded to give up 2 goals in the next 20 seconds because I suck and there are no Rocket League gods. Now I thought about giving up, forfeiting. The only way I could manage to score a goal on this guy was to have him disconnect. He was better than me, no doubt, as we'll see later in the video. But then something happened. Something that doesn't happen very often. I stopped playing like shit. And with 3 minutes left in the game, I scored my first legit goal after a brutal back and forth volley. That was exactly what I needed. A glimmer of hope in the midst of a dark Rocket League match, and that's when it happened. I transitioned from stage not playing like shit to playing somewhat decent. And just like that, I was only down a goal to the best 1s player that I've played in my ranked 1s journey by far. Oh, and also shortly after that, this happened, which resulted in this, which eventually resulted in this. And that was when I saw it. I had beaten my first Champ 3. Now, how did this happen? Was it just a coincidence? Or is something bigger, nay, something greater going on in the Rocket League universe? If you look at an official definition of toxicity, it's defined as extremely harsh or maliciousness. It literally comes from the idea of something being poisonous. Like there's nothing good in it. And we all know these kinds of people, toxic people. It's never good, and it never leads to good things for anybody. Trying hard, being competitive, trash talking, these things aren't really toxic. Scoring on your own team, refusing to forfeit because you get some sort of weird joy out of wasting people's times, calling people really bad names and getting kicked out of RLCS for it, that is toxic. It's not good for that person, and it's not good for anybody around them. Is it just a coincidence that after I gave Fusion back the goal that I scored, that he then went on to miss multiple open nets, that the crossbar just seemed to sort of take up the entire goal for him, that I managed to save multiple shots with like 7 boost? Is this all just a coincidence? Yeah, it probably is just a coincidence, but regardless, you will make it further as a player by acting more like a gentleman. In that way, Rocket League is really a gentleman's sport, or a gentleman's esport. I come from a family of golfers, and I too once was a golfer. Golf is a gentleman's sport. Yes, it's competitive and intense, but in the end, golfers know that the person they're playing with, on the other side of the khakis and the polos and the giant golf bags, there's a real person there who has feelings and desires. And Rocket League is no different. We all just need to come together. You know what? F*** you, man.